Someone once wrote C.S. Lewis a letter and asking him what the role of the Christian author is like. And Lewis wrote something that I found quite poignant and have always remembered. He said this, he said, we're sometimes confused about the role of the Christian author. He said, we have to write what our gifts might be. And he said, some of us may write patently obvious Christian works, but he said others of us might write works that are where the Christianity is more latent. And then he comes back and says this interesting thing. He says, in fact, those kind of works where the Christianity is latent may do more good than the other kind. And you can't help but think maybe he had Tolkien in mind. And certainly for many people, this latent Christianity in Tolkien's The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings has done many people much good. For Christians, he's been a source of encouragement and inspiration. And I think for non-Christians, he's been sort of opening up their mind to what might be possible. Where do we see this in works like The Hobbit? Well, I have a number of things to talk about. The first I want to talk about is the element of luck. You can't read very far in The Hobbit where you find out, well, there's 13 dwarves, and if they go on this mission with 13, it's unlucky. Well, it's said in such an offhand way that no one takes this seriously. In fact, they do need Bilbo, but not just to make 14, because in that case, anybody would have sufficed. They need Bilbo for a very different reason. But this word luck comes back again and again and again and again and again, so often that at some point it's clear that Tolkien is suggesting that much more than luck is at work. And in some ways, this thing that may seem like luck in The Hobbit is just like this thing that may seem like luck in the lives of Christians, right? But really is something far greater than luck. Now, he doesn't do as much with this in The Hobbit as he does in The Lord of the Rings, but it's this idea of providence, this idea that whoever sent Gandalf, right, he's been sent, whoever sent Gandalf to that doorstep in the Shire on that April morning had a reason for doing it. Tolkien has a way, just like life has a way, of making luck seem, well, what was behind that? It just seems, but not telling us, not pulling back the curtain until the very last page, almost the very last paragraph. Gandalf says to Bilbo, when he's talking about these prophecies that were suddenly revealed, he says, you don't think all of your adventures were managed by pure luck, do you? And we think back, yeah, those crazy things like he just happened to be there in Rivendell when the moon was out on the exact right day to show those rune letters. I mean, if I taught a class in creative writing and a student had this happen just by luck, I'd kind of say, can't do this, right? Not a good story, right? Or to be outside that door on Durin's Day, the exact right moment for it to happen, circle it again. You know, if this is just luck, this isn't a very good story. And of course, all these themes become even more so in The Lord of the Rings, and pretty soon it's clear to even if you're not reading closely, you get it, and if you are reading closely, you get it very quick, that there's a hand greater than luck, and we know it even before we get to the last page of The Hobbit where Gandalf says that. And of course, in our own lives, as we look back and see things that happen to us, we're also reminded, you don't suppose those things in your life were managed just by luck either. It's a great theme.